How Ordinary People Create Money Out of Thin Air Without Printing a Single Dollar by David Russo. Imagine waking up tomorrow with the ability to create money without working extra hours, winning the lottery, or inheriting a fortune. It sounds impossible, maybe even illegal. After all, only governments and central banks can create money, right? Not exactly. Every day, ordinary people transform ideas into businesses, knowledge into income, and opportunities into wealth. Some start with no money, no connections, and no special advantages. Yet somehow, they build companies worth millions, create products that generate income while they sleep, and turn simple concepts into life-changing fortunes. How do they do it? The answer lies in a powerful principle that most people never fully understand. It's a process that has created some of the wealthiest entrepreneurs, investors, and creators in history. And once you understand it, you'll never look at money the same way again. Introduction. What if I told you that some of the wealthiest people on earth create money out of thin air every day? They're not counterfeiters. They're not magicians. And they're definitely not secretly printing cash in their basements. Instead, they've mastered a skill that is both completely legal and surprisingly accessible, creating value where none existed before. They take ideas, knowledge, skills, resources, and opportunities that cost little or nothing to acquire and transform them into things people willingly pay for. Think about it. Every successful company started as an idea. Every best-selling book was once a blank page. Every piece of software began as lines of code on a screen. Before these things existed, they had no market value. Yet, through creativity, execution, and persistence, they became worth millions or even billions of dollars. The truth is that wealth creation isn't reserved for the rich. In many cases, the process begins long before someone has money. It starts with recognizing opportunities, solving problems, and building assets that create value for others. In this video, we'll uncover the hidden mechanisms behind modern wealth creation. You'll learn why the traditional view of money is incomplete, how fortunes often begin as simple ideas, while leverage is the secret weapon of the wealthy, and how ordinary people can use the same principles to create extraordinary results. By the end, you'll understand the closest thing that exists to creating money out of thin air and why it has nothing to do with printing dollars and everything to do with creating value. The hidden truth about money. Most people think money is something you find, earn, save, or inherit. But throughout history, the greatest fortunes were rarely built that way. Instead, they were created. When a farmer grows food, value is created. When an engineer designs a bridge, value is created. When a programmer writes software, a creator uploads a video, or an entrepreneur launches a business, value is created. Money simply flows toward that value. This is why two people can work equally hard and earn dramatically different incomes. The difference is not always effort. It's often the amount of value they create, how many people they serve, and how efficiently that value can be delivered. In many ways, wealth is less about money itself and more about solving problems. Every product on your desk, every app on your phone, and every service you use exists because someone identified a need and found a way to meet it. To understand how ordinary people create extraordinary wealth, we first need to challenge some of the assumptions most of us have about money. And that begins with one of the biggest financial myths ever taught. Chapter 1, the biggest lie about money. Most people grow up believing a simple equation: work equals money. From an early age, we're taught that income comes from effort, and the more hours we work, the more money we earn. It's a belief reinforced by schools, employers, and society itself. While hard work certainly has value, This idea leaves out a critical truth about how wealth is actually created. If earning money depended solely on labor, the hardest working people in the world would also be the richest. Yet, reality often tells a different story. Consider the difference between a factory worker and the owner of the factory. The worker may spend 8 or 10 hours each day performing valuable labor, but the owner's income isn't limited by personal time. The owner benefits from machines, systems, employees, and processes that continue producing value regardless of whether they are physically present. This doesn't mean one works harder than the other. It means they operate under different financial models. One sells time, while the other owns assets that generate income. The wealthy often focus on certain things that can be used repeatedly. A software developer may spend months building an application, but once it's complete, it can be sold to thousands or even millions of customers. An author writes a book once, yet royalties may continue arriving for years. A business owner develops a process and trains employees to deliver a service without requiring personal involvement in every transaction. These examples reveal an important principle. Wealth grows fastest when value can be delivered multiple times without repeating the same amount of effort. This is where many people misunderstand money. They assume that income must always be directly connected to hours worked. In reality, the highest earners frequently disconnect earnings from time. They build systems that scale. They create products that can be replicated. They acquire investments that generate returns. Instead of asking, how can I work more? They ask, how can I create something that works for me? That shift in thinking changes everything. The biggest lie about money isn't that hard work doesn't matter. It absolutely does. The lie is that hard work alone is enough. Wealth is rarely the result of labor by itself. It comes from combining effort with leverage, ownership, and value creation. Understanding this distinction is often the first step toward seeing money differently. Once you realize that income can come from assets, systems, and ideas, not just hours, you begin to understand how ordinary people can create extraordinary wealth. Chapter 2. Every fortune starts as an idea. Every skyscraper, smartphone, business empire, and best-selling book began as something invisible, an idea. Before wealth appears in the physical world, it usually exists first in someone's imagination. What separates successful creators from everyone else isn't that they have better ideas, it's that they act on them. The world is full of valuable ideas that never leave the minds of the people who think of them. History provides countless examples. A college student imagined connecting people through an online network and eventually built a company worth hundreds of billions of dollars. An entrepreneur noticed that people wanted transportation with the tap of a button and created a platform that transformed an industry. In both cases, the initial idea cost nothing. The value came from execution. Ideas become valuable when they solve problems. People pay for convenience, speed, entertainment, education, safety, and efficiency. Whenever someone identifies a need and develops a way to meet it, they create the potential for wealth. The bigger the problem, the greater the opportunity. Most people underestimate the value of their own ideas because thoughts feel ordinary. Yet, every innovation begins with a question. What if this could be done better? What if this process were easier? What if people had access to something they currently lack? These simple questions often lead to extraordinary opportunities. Money frequently starts in the mind before it reaches a bank account. The ability to recognize possibilities where others see limitations is one of the defining traits of successful wealth creators. While ideas alone aren't enough, they are often the spark that ignites everything that follows. Chapter 3. Selling something that doesn't exist yet. One of the most surprising ways people generate money is by selling a solution before fully creating it. At first glance, this sounds impossible. How can someone sell something that doesn't exist? Yet businesses around the world use this strategy every day. Pre-orders are one of the clearest examples. A company announces a product, customers place orders, and the revenue helps fund production. This model reduces risk because demand is proven before resources are committed. Instead of guessing what people want, businesses receive direct confirmation through purchases. Crowdfunding platforms have expanded this concept dramatically. Entrepreneurs present an idea, explain its benefits, and invite supporters to fund its development. If enough people believe in this vision, the project receives capital before the final product is completed. In many cases, customer enthusiasm becomes the fuel that turns an idea into reality. Service businesses often operate similarly. A consultant may secure a contract before performing the work. A designer may receive a deposit before beginning a project. A builder may collect funds before construction starts. Revenue arrives first, allowing the service provider to deliver afterward according to agreed terms. The lesson is powerful. Wealth creation isn't always about having resources up front. Sometimes it's about proving demand before investing heavily. When people are willing to pay for a future outcome, they provide evidence that value already exists. That validation can be more valuable than money itself. Chapter 4. Turning knowledge into income. Knowledge is one of the few assets that can be shared without being depleted. When someone learns a valuable skill, they possess something that can potentially generate income for years. In the modern economy, expertise has become one of the most accessible forms of wealth creation. A person who understands marketing can help businesses attract customers. Someone skilled in fitness can coach clients toward healthier lives. A programmer can build solutions for companies facing technical challenges. The knowledge itself may be invisible, but the results it produces are highly valuable. Technology has expanded the opportunities for monetizing expertise. Courses, webinars, coaching programs, consulting services, memberships, and digital content allow people to package knowledge into products. Instead of helping one person at a time, they can reach thousands. What's remarkable is that the same knowledge can often be sold repeatedly. A course recorded once can generate revenue for years. A book can educate countless readers. Educational videos can continue attracting audiences long after they are published. This transforms expertise into an asset rather than merely a service. The key is understanding that people don't pay for information alone. They pay for outcomes. They pay for shortcuts, clarity, confidence, and solutions. When knowledge helps someone achieve a desired result faster or more effectively, it becomes something people willingly invest in. Chapter 5. The power of leverage. Leverage is one of the most important concepts in wealth creation. It allows individuals to achieve results far beyond what their personal effort could produce alone. In many ways, leverage is the force multiplier behind extraordinary success. Technology is perhaps the most powerful form of leverage available today. A single piece of software can serve millions of users simultaneously. A video can be viewed by people around the world. Digital tools allow one person's work to reach audiences at a scale that was impossible in previous generations. People also provide leverage. Businesses grow by assembling teams that contribute skills, expertise, and labor. An entrepreneur who builds an effective organization can create far more value than any individual working alone. Collaboration multiplies output. Capital represents another form of leverage. Investors use money to acquire assets that generate additional income rather than relying exclusively on personal effort. They put resources to work on their behalf. This allows wealth to compound over time. The wealthy often focus less on working harder and more on applying leverage effectively. They ask how a single effort can produce 10 times, 100 times, or even 1,000 times the result. Understanding leverage changes the game because it expands what is possible beyond the limits of individual labor. Chapter 6, Borrowing Other People's Resources. One of the biggest misconceptions about entrepreneurship is that large amounts of personal capital are required to start. While money can help, many successful ventures begin by leveraging resources owned by others. Partnerships allow individuals to combine strengths. One person may contribute expertise while another provides funding. Together, they can pursue opportunities that neither could accomplish alone. Collaboration often creates value greater than the sum of its parts. Investors provide another pathway. They supply capital in exchange for a share of future profits or ownership. In essence, they invest because they believe the entrepreneur can create more value than the money alone could generate. Suppliers frequently assist businesses through credit arrangements. Instead of paying for inventory immediately, companies may receive products first and pay later. This enables growth without requiring large upfront investments. Customer deposits can serve a similar purpose. By securing orders before delivery, businesses gain access to funds that support operations and production. The lesson is clear. Many successful ventures are built not by owning every resource, but by learning how to access and coordinate resources effectively. Chapter 7, Building Assets That Work While You Sleep. Most jobs stop producing income the moment work stops. Assets operate differently. They continue creating value even when their owners are resting, traveling, or focusing on other pursuits. A book can be sold thousands of times after it is written. A software application can generate subscriptions around the clock. An investment property can produce rental income month after month. These assets continue working long after the initial effort has been completed. Building assets often requires patience. The rewards may not appear immediately. Creating a business, writing a book, or developing software can take months or years. Yet the long-term payoff can far exceed the original investment of time and energy. Assets are powerful because they separate income from constant effort. Instead of starting from zero every day, asset owners benefit from previous work. Their efforts accumulate rather than disappear. This is one reason wealth often grows exponentially rather than linearly. Each new asset becomes another source of value creation. Over time, a collection of assets can produce significant income independent of daily labor. Chapter 8, Why Attention Has Become a Currency. In today's digital economy, attention has become one of the most valuable commodities on earth. Every company, creator, and advertiser competes for it because attention often precedes revenue. When people watch a video, follow an account, subscribe to a newsletter, or engage with content, they are investing attention. That attention can eventually be transformed into advertising revenue, product sales, sponsorships, memberships, and business opportunities. The most successful creators understand that trust is even more valuable than attention alone. Audiences follow people who consistently provide value. Over time, that trust becomes a powerful economic asset because recommendations carry influence. Social media has dramatically lowered the barriers to building an audience. A smartphone and an internet connection provide access to billions of people. Opportunities that once required television networks or publishing companies are now available to individuals. Attention by itself isn't wealth, but when combined with value creation, it becomes a powerful engine for generating income. Those who can earn and maintain attention often gain access to opportunities unavailable to others. Chapter 9: The Psychology of Wealth Creation. The difference between those who create wealth and those who don't often begins with mindset. Wealth creation requires seeing possibilities where others see obstacles. It demands a willingness to take calculated risks and act despite uncertainty. Many opportunities go unnoticed because they appear ordinary. Successful entrepreneurs frequently recognize inefficiencies, unmet needs, and emerging trends before they become obvious. Their advantage often comes from observation rather than intelligence alone. Initiative plays a critical role. Ideas have little value without action. While many people wait for perfect conditions, wealth creators experiment, learn, adapt, and improve through experience. Progress usually comes from movement rather than certainty. Resilience is equally important. Nearly every successful entrepreneur encounters setbacks, failures, and disappointments. The ability to continue despite obstacles often determines long-term outcomes more than talent or resources. Ultimately, wealth creation is as much psychological as financial. The willingness to think differently, take responsibility, and pursue opportunities consistently separates those who build assets from those who only consume them. Chapter 10: The Closest Thing to Creating Money Out of Thin Air. If creating money literally out of thin air is impossible for ordinary people, what is the closest equivalent? The answer is creating value from ideas. Turning something intangible into something people willingly pay for is one of the most remarkable abilities humans possess. An entrepreneur identifies a problem and develops a solution. A creator transforms knowledge into content. An inventor turns imagination into innovation. In each case, something that previously had no market value becomes valuable because it improves people's lives. The process often begins with nothing more than insight. There is no factory, no inventory, and sometimes no capital. There is simply an idea combined with effort and execution. Over time, that idea evolves into something capable of generating income. This transformation is the foundation of modern wealth creation. Entire industries have emerged because someone imagined a better way of doing things. The wealth that followed was not discovered, it was created. That is why value creation is the closest thing to making money from nothing. The starting point is often invisible, existing only in thought. Yet, when that thought becomes something useful, it acquires real economic value and can ultimately change lives. Bonus chapter: The Hidden Cost and Choices Behind Wealth Creation. By this point, it may seem as though creating wealth is simply a matter of finding an idea, building value, and waiting for the rewards to arrive. But there is another side to this story that is often overlooked. Every opportunity carries a cost, not always in money, but in time, attention, and choices. Understanding these hidden costs can be just as important as understanding wealth itself. One of the most expensive things in life is doing nothing. Economists call this opportunity cost, the value of what you give up when you choose one path over another. Every hour spent scrolling through social media is an hour not spent learning a skill. Every year spent postponing a project is a year that project could have been growing. The cost of inaction rarely appears on a bill, but over time it can become enormous. Another overlooked distinction is the difference between consumers and creators. Consumers enjoy products, services, and entertainment created by others. Creators build, design, write, teach, invent, and solve problems. Neither role is inherently wrong, but wealth tends to flow disproportionately toward those who create value rather than simply consume it. The modern world offers endless opportunities to consume, but relatively few people make the transition into creating. There is also the reality that wealth creation often requires delayed gratification. Many of the most valuable assets take time to develop. A business may take years to become profitable. An audience may take years to build. Investments may require decades to reach their full potential. In a world that celebrates instant results, some of the greatest rewards come from being willing to wait longer than most people are willing to wait. Finally, wealth creation is rarely a single breakthrough moment. Popular culture often focuses on overnight successes, but the truth is usually less dramatic. Most fortunes are built through hundreds of thousands of small decisions made consistently over long periods of time. Small improvements compound. Small skills compound. Small investments compound. Over time, what appears to be a sudden success is often the result of years of invisible progress. Perhaps that's the ultimate lesson. Wealth is not merely a matter of money. It is the result of choices, how you spend your time, where you direct your attention, what you choose to create, and whether you're willing to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term opportunity. Those choices may seem small in the moment, but over a lifetime, they can make all the difference. Conclusion. So can ordinary people really create money out of thin air? Not in the literal sense. They can't print currency, mint coins, or magically make dollars appear. But they can do something remarkably similar. They can take something that has no market value, an idea, a skill, a solution, a piece of knowledge, and transform it into something people willingly pay for. Every company that exists today was once just a thought in someone's mind. Every invention began as an observation. Every book started as a blank page. Every successful business product and investment was once nothing more than potential waiting to be turned into reality. The wealth came later. The people who build extraordinary wealth understand a simple truth. Money follows value. Instead of chasing money directly, they focus on solving problems, serving people, creating opportunities, and building assets that continue generating value long after the initial work is done. That's why the greatest fortunes are rarely built by finding money. They're built by creating something useful, scalable, and meaningful. The larger the problem solved and the more people helped, the greater the value that can be created. And perhaps that's the most important lesson of all. The opportunity to create wealth isn't reserved for the wealthy. It begins with the ability to recognize possibilities where others see nothing. A simple idea, a skill you've developed, a problem you've noticed, a solution nobody has built yet. Because the closest thing to creating money out of thin air isn't printing it. It's creating value where none existed before.